And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your host, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Thank you, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam. It is indeed I, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and thank you all so much for making us part of your Seahawk pregame tradition. This is the 12th Man Fan Jam show where we try our best to quench your Seahawk fix for about an hour or so. So put yourself on cruise control and feel free to move about the cabin, but remember to tip your cabbies. Joining myself this week is a load of entertainment bigger than the Empire State Building itself, just for your listening pleasure. The Positivity panel is geared up and ready to take on another wonderful helping of Seahawk football. As usual, we're joined by my partner in crime. He is the Big Apple, my friend from across the big pond in merry old England, Matt.
Hello from merry old England. How are you, Dennis? Are you well?
I'm not unwell, thank you. And yourself?
Pretty good.
Good. There's also our version of the New York Times. He is our news hound. His 12th Man editorial can be found on SeahawksSal.com. And that is our news hound, the Shadowhawk, Will.
Hello from merry old Everett, Washington, said no one ever.
Everyone's merry. Unless you're in Everett, Washington, apparently.
Well, yes.
Yes. And also joining us is our own personal accountant of accountants, our stats man, deep from the heart of California, stats man Mark.
Hey everybody, this is Mark reporting from the home of the statement game, apparently, according to the 49ers here.
What a statement.
And we all laughed, don't we? That was
Yep.
cute. That was really cute. They made a statement, didn't they? They beat us by 2 points on a last-second field goal. Woo! All right. Well, we'll talk about that coming up, of course.
Easy, Dennis. We'll do that in a minute. Easy.
See, I'm getting
Don't
excited.
peak too soon.
I'm getting too excited. Sometimes I just, that's what she said. Okay. We won't go there. I know everyone's
Please
anxious.
move on.
Yes, I am. I know everyone's anxious
What she said.
get back to football. And we're anxious to get this show going, as you can tell. So let us tell you how that show that you're about to listen to is formatted. The 12th Man Fan Jam is broken down to 4 quarters and 2 2-minute warnings, just like a real NFL game. In quarter one, we will hear from Shadowhawk Will and all the news that we may have missed the last few days when we were too busy trying to stay out of the snow and go Christmas shopping, or holiday shopping if you prefer. Quarter two is usually spent discussing the game the week before. In this case, that's what we will briefly touch on, the good and the bad and the ugly of last week's 49er game. And then at halftime, I will have a special can't miss interview. And this week it is very special. It is the fictional character Tony Soprano from The Sopranos, a New Jersey native, of course. And I'm sure he'll be a big Giants fan, and we'll have some discussions about the game with Tony Soprano. So you don't want to miss that. Third quarter will be spent, of course, with our statsman Mark analyzing the stats for our upcoming game. And finally, the fourth quarter will be spent giving our predictions, prognostications for the upcoming game on Sunday between your Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants. And as you listen, we'd like to remind you that we would love to hear from you. Our Christmas wish is that people would contact us and let us know how we're doing. And we got a lot of great feedback from last week's show, and we thank you all for that. So please don't forget about it. Hey, we want to hear from you. The email's on the screen right now. So drop us a line or two. Say hi. We like email. But first, a new segment where the panelists discuss one of their most cherished Seahawk memories in a segment without a theme song yet called, interestingly enough, Seahawk Memories. The picture you have before you is a rather young Matt.
Yes.
Isn't he cute? Look at him, little Matt. He's not
Well,
Don't ever do it.
Yeah, I overdid it. So, Matt, you want to tell us what we're seeing here in this picture besides
Yeah, absolutely. That picture there is me on Christmas Day morning, 1986. So I would be 8 years old at that point. And that was if you look at what I'm wearing a pair of Seahawk pajamas. What happened? I give you just a bit of backstory. My mum went to a local market and she picked up 2 pairs of pajamas. One pair of pajamas was a Miami Dolphins pair of pajamas, and one pair of pajamas was a Seattle Seahawks pair of pajamas. Now, the Dolphins pajamas were 2 sizes bigger than the Seahawks one, and luckily I have a fat sister. So It's honestly true. She's slimmed down a little bit now. I mean, she's just the size of a small African country now. But she, luckily at the time, she was a bit of a heifer, and as a result, the Dolphins pajamas, which were 2 sizes too big, were hers. So I've always said I was 1 dress size away from being a Dolphins fan, which would have been terrible, really. But yeah, so those were my pajamas, and there's Kurt Warner on the front there, number 28, if you can see, and David Krieg on the shoulder. And I had them. I was very proud of them, and the reason they sort of got me into football was because I used them as an excuse to stay up late. In the United Kingdom in the 80s, American football was on very late in the evening, and it was very popular. San Francisco were very big then, and they probably won a Super Bowl at some point in the 80s. That's the last time, I think. And then so were the Chicago Bears, and so were the Redskins, funnily enough, and they were the big teams. So I used my pajamas as an excuse to stay up late with my dad to watch football, and that's how I sort of got into football, and that's why I am a Seattle Seahawks fan, purely because of a pair of pajamas.
And what have we learned there? We've learned if you're fat, you have to be a Dolphin fan.
Absolutely, if you're fat, you're a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe that's how Colin Kaepernick got that Dolphins hat.
Oh my! So all because of pajamas. That's very interesting.
It is literally all because of pajamas.
Yeah. You just never know. I mean, a helmet. I know somebody over here that is a fan of a team because when they were little, their dad got him a helmet, and it was just a generic helmet, but it looked like this team, and he became a fan of them. Just little things trigger you, and luckily, I'm very thankful for your fat sister, because I don't know if she would be doing a show from England.
Can I just say that my sister doesn't listen to this show? She doesn't know that we do this show.
Good.
And if anyone tells her what I've just said on this show, I won't be doing this show anymore either.
Well, we love her for getting the Dolphins pajamas. We want to make that perfectly clear. If she's listening, we love you. And we would like to have her on the show. That would be great. I'm sure she'd have some stories. But speaking of stories, we also have some stories to share from this week. While you've been out Christmas shopping or dodging the snowflakes or just staying inside, staying warm, and staying out of the loop, to bring you back into the loop, it is time for news. Yes, the Shadowhawk knows the news. And here to give us the news that we need to know is our very own Will Shadowhawk. Will, what you got for us this evening?
Well, it looks like the National Football League is considering changing their instant replay operation. Recently, an NFL officiating representative who had been in communication with the National Hockey League for about a month spent the evening of Saturday, November 30th in the NHL Situation Room in Toronto to see how the Hockey League conducts video reviews from games going on all across the country through one centralized location. Roger Goodell has said that the league is studying the viability of switching instant replay from having the referee go to a booth to review it himself to having more of a centralized location like they do in the NHL.
Interesting. Well, that's interesting. What do you guys think about that? Mark, what do you think about the instant replay?
Oh, instant replay. I don't like that idea to have New York, have one central location for replay. We know it isn't perfect, but I think they got to keep it local because it sounds like to me, you have however many games going on simultaneously. Are they going to field all of the calls? Is that how it would work? All the games currently going on, each location be sending replays to New York to review?
I would suppose. I have a vision of some guy sitting on a couch with all these TVs and, just, sitting there eating chips and got a beer and, that was a fumble. Let me call them,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mark totally on this. I think, look, if you've got to get to the stage where you've got to send all of your decisions off to New York to get a sort of a final rubber stamp for them, how much more time do you want to add into this game?
Right.
Because it isn't always going to be instantaneous. There's going to be delays as well. And I think the important thing is not to centralize the calling, but just get the calling consistent and follow the bloody rules. They just need to make better calls. I think they wouldn't do them harm, I suppose, if they got a slightly younger reffing crew as well who could probably keep up with the play. To be frankly honest, there's always old white men dancing around doing funny moves on the grid. You know what I mean? It's get some younger eyes in there, get some younger people in there that can actually keep up with the pace of this game. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
I can picture a guy that looks like Billy Carter in New York, kind of, trying to review all the replays.
That's what I got. That's what I got. Why can't they just do it? And doesn't college do this where here's the thing, if there's a mistake or there's a turn that needs to be reviewed, they get buzzed from upstairs. There's a guy upstairs that says, hey, I think I want to see this again. He buzzes them, tells them I want to see it again. He watches it upstairs, makes the call, and sends it down. How hard is this?
Well, Dennis, I gotta say here though, I am actually in favor of this idea, or at least I think it's got potential. First off, if you're talking about time it's spent, I think you gain time by not having to wait for some fat-assed referee to waddle over to the far corner of the stadium and back every time they need a review. Yes. This system has been used in the NHL for a couple of years. I don't know if you've watched an NHL game where there's been a review. It's been very quick. It's worked very well. There is a challenge. Like you said, there's going to be more games on at the same time, and there's generally more reviews in an NFL game than an NHL game. So that's something they're going to have to deal with. But I think the reason why this is an idea at least worth pursuing is something that I believe Matt mentioned, is consistency. And you're just not going to have that when you have different referees, different officiating crews, making calls in different stadiums as much as you are if you can centralize it. Mm-hmm. It goes back to, 3 people can witness the same car accident and come away with completely different recollections of what happened. And I don't think consistency is really something that's going to apply. Yeah. Especially when you have some referees who, quite frankly, are not up to the challenge.
Ironically, the thing about the NHL is that when they brought in that centralized location, their viewership went up 150%. But I'm not going there. You get it because the guy's watching TV and he's looking at.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would say I'm all in favor of getting the right calls made at the right time. I just can't understand how one pair of eyes in New York is going to be able to see any different really than one person in a stadium at the top, or or the current system. My feeling is that the reffing crews are too old. They're not able to keep up with the pace of this game. It's not ageist, it's just fact. And I don't see how putting somebody else in New York is necessarily good, because he's not going to review. He's not going to be able to review all the challenges that go through at once. Because what happens if you're waiting for him to finish a challenge in New York? Yeah. What do you do? Just stand around kicking dust until he's finished reviewing a school or something? It's going to be different people, which means it's not going to be consistent.
I think the good news here, whether or not you like this particular idea, is the league is tacitly implying when they say they're thinking about this that the current system needs help.
Yeah.
And
Good.
Frankly, the officiating is getting worse. I mean, I've heard players saying it. I've heard coaches saying it.
Yes.
They need to fix something, and at least they're showing new ideas, and I think that's a good development.
Yeah, I have a vision of actually a John Clayton ESPN commercial. Some guy sitting in his basement, Mom, doing the NHL game.
What happens?
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you. Yeah, what else you got for us, Will?
You would think that Ravens rookie safety Matt Elam would have learned a lesson from what happened to the last guy who thought he could talk smack to Calvin Johnson. Des Bryant several weeks ago said that he can do anything Calvin Johnson can do. Johnson responded by going out and catching 329 receiving yards in one game. Yeah, right, Des. But Matt Elam did not learn from his fellow players' mistakes. When talking about Calvin Johnson in their upcoming game, Elam said, quote, "He's pretty old, so I don't know how physical he'll be. He's a big guy, but he's older. I guess when they get older, they're not going to be as physical. You know what I'm saying?"
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Johnson, however, has not taken this laying down. He told Elam that, quote, he would show him that old man strength. and said that Elam can, quote, talk all he wants. He plays back. I don't see him every play unless I run past him.
He then also added, I don't know if you got this, Will, but he also added, "You damn kids, get off my yard." And then he started singing, "Pants on the ground, pants on the ground, looking like a fool with your pants on the ground."
Seriously, though, Johnson is only 28, and Elam's saying he's old.
Old at 28. Dude, I got underwear that's older than that.
Uh-oh.
Too much? Sorry.
Yeah, too much info again.
Sorry. True, though. But yeah, 28 is old. That, to me, the funniest part of the whole story is that 28 is old. Is 28?
If he's talking about Brett Favre, then okay, yeah, he's old.
But then let's think about it though. If he's saying that like 28 is old, how old is Ed Hockley to him? Do you know what I mean? Going back to the refs thing, talking about old men. You know, it's ridiculous. What are they, like? They're 90s to him or something?
Yeah. He's like that kid you have in high school. Oh, he's old. How old is he? Oh, he's almost 30. He's old. Oh, God.
I hate that child.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, 28 is not old. And like you said, I mean, the last time someone said something like this, they really kind of paid for it. Why, Mark, why would somebody give Calvin Johnson, the best receiver in football, an excuse to actually get motivated even more than he already was?
You know, it's that's just kind of the day and age that we're in, generally speaking, I noticed. And I think offhand, I would say, you know, I don't know if it was directly involved in this, but I don't know what you guys had mentioned. But, you know, like Twitter, you know, for me is just the worst possible thing any public figure could have.
Yeah.
Whether you're an athlete or entertainer or whatever. It's just once you hit send, you know, somebody's paid full time, spot it. And even if you delete it or retract it, it's totally done. And then you combine that with, you know, however else they get locker room material, you know, the good old fashioned camera, microphone interview, what's written in the paper. I don't know. I don't understand all the smack talking, or I understand it, but it just seems to be way overboard these days. So,
but that's what it is, isn't it? This is just a symptom of the trash talking game now. You know, you've got players like Sherman, and if you like Sherman, you can dish it out, and as long as you can back it up on the field, you know, you're a hero. But if you're going to go out there and say that someone's too old or to be too physical or whatever, then you need to expect to be, you know, kicked at some point,
right?
Because it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But this is just a symptom of the trash talk game, and it's quite funny because some of them are very good at it, Sherman, and some of them are just not so good.
Elam.
Yeah, I think Mr. Elam is young. Mr. Elam is going to learn a lesson in humility this weekend.
Yeah. He's going to have that moment of clarity right before Calvin Johnson bowls him over for a touchdown.
Bowls him over, yeah, totally.
Oh, I made a mistake. Kind of like in when Tom Cruise was driving in that racing movie that he did, and this is going to hurt right before he hits the wall. That's what this kid's going to be. Oh, this is going to hurt. Bang. What else you got for us, Will?
Well, it seems the poor Detroit Lions just cannot catch a break. Specifically, in this case, Nate Burleson, who was doing something very laudable on Monday, doing some volunteer work helping to feed the homeless at a nearby church. Unfortunately, he ran into somebody who was not exactly a fan. According to Burleson, one guy who was there getting some food said, quote, "Man, you guys are sorry. Same old line." So when you have homeless guys coming up to you and saying that you're sorry, that just doesn't bode well for Detroit. I'm sorry.
Oh, God. This food sucks as much as you do, man.
Wow.
God, poor Nate, because first off, I don't know any fan of the Seahawks who doesn't love Nate Burleson even now. He's a great guy. And when he left for money, and I was just kind of like, dude, take the money. Congratulations, you know? Yeah. And he got a big paycheck up in Detroit, and then he did a thing with earlier this year where he broke his arm because he was adjusting the pizza on his seat or whatever, and had the pizza issue, and now he's got this. I would have loved to have seen the look on his face. I think you guys suck, man.
Yeah, who knew that the less fortunate were so astute in their observations in Detroit? Yeah. Wow.
Well, you got to respect this guy. He calls it like it is.
He does. You know? I mean, he doesn't care about the free food. You suck, man. Oh, my God. That's pretty funny right there. I know that we're also going to have a couple of tweets during the program involving our friend
Mike Silver.
What's his name?
Michael
Who's
Silver.
our friend? Michael Silver. That's it. That's the guy. Michael Silver has given us some tweets. And before we go to station identification, I think I have one coming in right now. Yes, it's a Michael Silver breaking news tweet. Yes, according to Michael Silver's tweets, Richard Sherman to star in the remake of Predator, co-starring Carrot Top.
This, of course, according to his unnamed source.
According to his unnamed source, naturally. According to his unnamed source, which is never wrong.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
And I know we're never wrong to take a break, so we're going to take a break for station identification, come back in the second quarter, and unfortunately plow through the good and the bad and the ugly of last week's 49er game.
Hi, this is Mosette, Moses' daughter, and please keep listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam.
Or I will find you. And now it's time for the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. In the second quarter, we will be discussing the good, we will be discussing the bad, and we will be discussing the ugly of last week's game. Here to take you through the second quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you again, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam. It is indeed time for the second quarter and the good, the bad, and the ugly from last week's game. You are listening to 12th Man Fan Jam, and we are here to take you through a recap of last week's game against the San Francisco 49ers, a 19-17 loss at the hand of the 49ers with a field goal with about 33 seconds left to go in that game to clinch it for the 49ers. So it was a hard-fought game. Personally, guys, we'll talk about this later, but I hate losing to the 49ers. I hate ever losing. But that was the kind of game that I think everybody in the NFL was watching and said, I wish that was our team. But before we do that, let's go good, bad, and ugly. We'll start with the good with Will. Will, what kind of good can you get from that game last week?
Well, before I go there, I just want to point out for the record that I had the bad after we won 34-7 on Monday Night Football. And now I have the good after we lose to the last team on earth I want to lose to. So,
well, let me talk to the director about that. We'll see what we can get done.
So I guess I just marched to the beat of my own drummer. But no, there was some good from this loss, even though it gave 49ers and their fans a chance to gloat. May they burn in hell. Just what I took from this game is the 49ers. This was their Super Bowl. They wanted this as badly as they wanted any game this season. Mm-hmm. And we came into that environment. We had some bad calls go against us. Mm-hmm. We had some even worse penalties that were our own fault. Mm-hmm. This was not our best game by any stretch. And yet we still only lost by 2 points. Mm-hmm. I mean, we change one or two plays anywhere in this game, and we come out of there with a win. Yep. And as bad as it felt to see us lose, to the 49ers, I just think the fact that they can go in there, play their not play their best game, and still keep it that close all game long, I think it is a positive. I think it's something they can build on. And I think it's going to really give them some motivation in the weeks ahead.
I agree. I totally agree. Next week, Will, we want you to go to Hooters, and then you're going to come back and tell us the ugly. So get ready for that.
I'm on it.
All right, cool. Mark, anything else to add about the good?
When after a game, all of us wanted to win this game because it would have been great. I think I think we would have basically clinched the division had we won. Was that correct?
Yeah, division and first round bye.
Okay, so but it is what it is. What I do like about if you take away something, from this loss, one, it was competitive. We didn't get blown out, like some teams do in our, stadium, SF, and also, we get to start a new streak. If we win out, if we win this game and we win the rest, then we're carrying in an 11-game win streak or whatever into the playoffs, and maybe that adds pressure to the whole situation. I don't know, but now we have a clean slate, and I know these guys preach, go 1-0 every week, but let's face it, a long winning streak would be, on your mind entering the postseason. So we had to drop a game. It was on the road. It's not a home loss, and we get to start new, fresh this week in New York.
I never listened to the talking heads in the media, but in this week, they've all pretty much come across the board and said pretty much what we're saying. You lost to a playoff team at their home by 2 points. There's no reason to think that Seattle still isn't the best team in the NFL. And it doesn't seem like anybody bit into the, oh my God, they lost. Otherwise, in fact, it was the opposite. Hey, they lost to a good team, and we did on their turf, which it was, and you just move on. To me, I hate to say this because, of course, I hate that when they lose. I don't like them to lose, especially the 49ers. But this is a rivalry game. This was a 15-round Ali Frazier last man standing, beating the tar out of each other for 4 quarters game that I've always wanted the Seahawks to be a part of. And all they did was hold court. They won the home game, and they kept the rivalry what it should be. Home teams win in a rivalry, and that's exactly what happened here.
Totally.
So I'm all right with that. The bad, Mark.
Yes, the bad. Well, we lost. No, let's see. It's of all the things, I mean, there's several to choose from, but if nothing else, it's been somewhat typical of us, and that's we had 9 penalties for 85 yards, and that's one stat I haven't looked up lately, maybe because it's a bad one. We got to rank near the, however they phrase it, top or bottom, however they look at it, in penalty yards this year.
I think we were second going into the game. Is that what I saw? Did anybody verify
And we
that?
still are.
Yeah.
We're still second in penalties and yardage, both to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. And that is bad. And we talked about it in the show week after week. The ugly or the bad has been penalties. And Matt, at 9 penalties for 85 yards, and in a close game like this, that could be a difference maker.
I said last week, we make it hard on ourselves because not only do we have to go into a hostile environment, not only do we have to play a rival team, but if we've got to beat them, the referees, and ourselves, we're not going to win that game.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we did. I can't moan too much about the reffing. There was some particularly ugly calls in there. I can't moan about that too much because the refereeing was the same really for both of us, to be honest. There were some calls that they didn't call on us. There were some calls they didn't call on them. So put the refereeing to one side. But if you're going to get face mask calls, like Robinson, you can't do that. You just can't. And especially you can't do it if they're going to kill off, large positive drives, first downs, called back to the line of scrimmage because of a face mask pull. You can't do that. This is I accept they say that we were safe because we were already in the playoffs, etc., etc., etc. Bollocks, quite frankly. This is a game you needed to win. You should have won it. I wanted you to win it, and we nearly did almost. Apart from one, ridiculous run. And just to go back to your point on the good, I agree with you entirely. The reason the talking heads weren't really talking about this game because I felt that it was like a complete media silence. To be honest, nobody really wanted to talk about it because it wasn't a result really that shocked or surprised anyone. In the sense that it was close. But what did they do? Well, they had one good run, and that was it. That was the play of the game, was a single 51-yard run. That was it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
The other thing that I found curious was our very last offensive drive when we just kicked the field goal to go up by 1. We'd been pretty aggressive, for most of the evening, or aggressive enough, I thought. Overall, I liked our game plan. But then, coming away with that field goal instead of taking shots in the end zone, I don't know. I thought we played it a bit too conservative there.
I disagree because I feel like as well as both defenses were playing, that 1 point was going to be enough. And it really should have been. And you bring your defense out and say, okay, you're the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. You're going to have to stop them. And quite frankly, we didn't when we needed to. So that's the name of that tune, as Beretta would say. Matt, you're ugly.
I am, absolutely, and you're fat.
You mock me from across the pond, but it's true.
I've got thousands of miles of distance. It's fine.
Yeah, a big man in another country. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. There are two uglies. One of them, I'm afraid, is a bit of a local ugly, which I'm going to tell you about. In the United Kingdom, we had to watch it on Sky, which is ugly in itself. But also, every time there was a break in the game, we got a Candlestick Park moment because they were celebrating the stadium, the end of the stadium, and then moved to the next one.
Oh.
So we got to watch every pathetic catch, every ridiculous run, every bad call that they'd gone in their favour. Back to the glory days of the 80s. It was sickening, quite frankly. It was the most ugliest thing I've ever watched. And it made it worse. They played some really crap music over the top of it. So all in all, that was the ugliest thing about that game. KJ Wright's injury is my ugly.
Yes.
I hate that. I absolutely hate it. I hated it even more that he went off the side and threw his helmet at assistant medics. I don't think that's how it's supposed to happen at all. That made it extra ugly. But equally, I don't know who the woman's name was who was doing the sideline reporting for Fox. I don't know what her name was.
Pam Oliver, yeah.
But she's got the most. She has no expression or emotion about her reports at all. So she's saying, KJ Wright's just limping off. He's a bit upset. He sort of punched a guy. He's belly flopped another one. He's thrown his helmet at somebody. He's clotheslined another doctor. And now he's walking off. And she gave this sort of report, and I'm like, what the hell is going on my sideline? And there was no video of it. So that sort of annoyed me a lot. But no, I mean, for me, it's KJ Wright's injury. I think it is a factor. I think it has damaged us, I suppose, a little bit because I love him as a player. But I suppose these things happen, don't they? Yeah. Next man up.
I'm not going to say. Here's what I'm not going to say, everyone. I am not saying that maybe it would have been less ugly if he had thrown his helmet at Pam Oliver. I'm not going to say that. Okay, I did not.
Do you know what though? All she would have said is, "Oh, he's hit me with his helmet." and it would have been in that format because I was like, woman, put some if you don't want to be there, go to a typing school or something, go and do something else, but you clearly don't want to be at this game.
Well, she was hit in the head with a football earlier this year.
Was she?
Yeah, she really was. So I'm not saying anything. I'm just throwing out facts. I want to see the video of that. There is a video of that. Yes,
that was a hell of a throw.
It's on YouTube.
Yes, it is. She was hit pretty hard with a football, blindsided. And but I'm not going there. I'm not going to say that either. I'm with you though. The KJ Wright thing is a big deal. Will, KJ Wright was having a fantastic season for us. Now they said he'll probably be back. It looks like maybe we're looking at playoffs.
It's possible. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks, but it's tough. I mean, it's a broken bone in his foot. That's the kind of thing he's got to rest until it's done. Until it's healed. I mean, we've seen what happened to Percy Harvin when he tried to come back too soon.
Right.
If Wright comes back too soon, he may not make it back at all. So, but it really hurts, and it hurt to see the obvious anger and pain on his face when they showed him on the sidelines. He wanted to be out there. He wanted to be part of this team, and it just killed him to get hurt.
Wait, did you say who? Percy what? Harvin? Harvin? Do I have a Harvin?
Yeah, some guy we traded for back in the offseason.
I don't know that guy. Anyway, but yeah, good point about KJ, right?
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
Looks like it's time for our 2-minute warning here. And this 2-minute warning, of course, we go back our prognostications and predictions from last week's game. And, of course, everyone picked the Seahawks would win. As you look at the predictions now, we have myself at 24-17, Will at 31-16, Mark at 24-20, and Matt at 24-10. Final score is 19-17. So none of us really did much on the predictions because when they don't win, and plus we don't really want to go through them when they don't win anyway. So so we'll just glance over those. The prognostications, I said Wilson would run for 2 touchdowns, and he didn't. Will said Kaepernick would get benched, and he didn't.
I was close.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or not.
Mark said a pick 6 for Sherman, and he didn't. However, Matt, now he did say something about Marshawn Lynch running for 120 yards, but he made 2. He snuck another one in and said Kaepernick will get 2 INTs, And he had one, so we'll give Matt that one for last week because at least he had a little bit of that right.
And one of those runs was pulled back as well by a penalty, so he would have got more than the 70-odd yards he did get.
Exactly. And, of course, the which is bigger was between Kaepernick sacks and Russell Wilson sacks. And the battle of the quarterback sacks, and that's what she said, it was actually a tie. They both had 2. Will had said that 3-1 in favor of Kaepernick. Mark had said 4-2. I said 2-1, and Matt said 2-1. So that's how we did there.
Mm-hmm.
Any final words before we move on to halftime about this game? Mark, you got anything you want to add about this 49er game before we talk some other football?
It was hardly a devastating loss, and I like the fact that we get to start a new streak, ending the regular season, going into the playoffs.
Yep. Will, what you got?
Well, I suppose being gracious, we should enjoy the fact that the 49ers won their Super Bowl this year because that's the only one they're getting to.
Well said. Matt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can I just congratulate the San Francisco 49ers on winning a game in your own damn stadium because of one busted coverage, 1 run, and 2 points. You must be very, very proud.
Well done. And I will finish by saying, as I was consoling my son, who was, of course, taking a loss not well, especially against the 49ers, and like I said at the beginning of this quarter, everyone wants to be those teams that were playing on that national spotlight game at 4 o'clock because that was 4 quarters of knockdown, snot-knocking football. And I'm just glad our team's part of that. I would love to be on the other side of that score, of course. But all this does is add fuel to that rivalry. And we have, we've never had a rivalry like this. We supposedly had a rivalry with the Rams. We beat them 10 in a row. We supposedly had a rivalry with the 49ers. We crushed them at our place. This kind of brought the rivalry kind of back to this matchup between the 49ers and the Seahawks. And the next one, which will be either this year or next year or whenever it is, I know it's going to be a wonderful 4 quarters of hard-hitting football between 2 pretty good teams.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
And that will take us to halftime. We have a very special interview coming up with Tony Soprano about the Giants and his experience as a Giants fan. And then we'll be back to start the second half. We will see you on the other side of halftime, everybody.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam. Next, the 12th Man Fan Jam presents another interview with Moses.
Thank you, Matt, and welcome to Interviews with Moses. I'm here with legendary family man Tony Soprano. Tony, welcome to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
There he is.
Yes, I'm right here. Right here. Hi, Tony.
Hello.
Hello, Tony. It's a pleasure to have you on the show this week. Tony, you live in Jersey. Are you a Giants fan?
Don't pretend like I got a choice.
Okay, that must be a yeah then.
Yeah, my ass.
Whoa, okay. So how do you feel about your Giants play this season so far?
And I'm shocked by it all the time.
I don't think you're alone. I mean, a lot of people are shocked. I mean, 5-8, you can't be happy about that.
I had a good run. I try not to let it bother me. I mean, just move on.
I hear you. So do you go to a lot of home games for the Giants, Tony?
Yeah.
So what's the tailgating like for the MetLife Stadium?
Barbecue at all these fat Italians. Have a party. They're giving you the finger.
Wow, sounds great, really. I mean, fat Italians giving the finger. That sounds like fun.
What is this? Are you trying to get me to lose my temper because I'm about to put you through that goddamn window?
Whoa, not at all. Not at all. Listen, in light of the poor record the Giants have this season, do you think they'll finally fire Tom Coughlin?
This is overdue.
It's time to go. It's time to go.
Well, you're probably right there. I mean, I take it you're not a fan of Coughlin right now.
I will, I don't think I've ever said this.
Oh, sorry. Well, who do you think should take over as head coach for the Giants?
Dickie Moltisanti and your Uncle Eddie, Jerry Toofy.
Do any of those guys have any NFL experience?
I'm sure not everybody.
All right. Well, let's change the subject. Have you seen the Seahawks play this year?
I think they're unbelievable.
Really? I'm surprised you've seen them.
Where do you get off acting all surprised?
Well, I just thought a busy man like you wouldn't have time to see the Seahawks, that's all. What do you think about them?
Good, I'm scared.
Scared? You?
Yeah, sure, everybody gets scared sometimes.
Wow. The Seahawks scare you?
That giant talking vegetable scared me.
That what?
Giant talking vegetables.
Okay. You've seen giant talking vegetables.
What, are you getting cute with me?
No, just asking. I mean, I've never seen a giant talking vegetable before. Is this for real?
You're still gonna kiss his ass.
You want me to kiss the ass of a giant talking vegetable?
You wanna start now?
Well, no, not really. Why, do you see one?
You finished?
Just about. I got one more question. So, who do you think is going to win this Sunday between the Giants and the Seahawks?
Let me ask you a question. Who the f*** do you think you are coming in here talking to me like this? Why don't you get the f*** out of here? Come on. Get the f*** out. Go.
Hey, easy, Tony. Hey, put that down.
We're finished. And you're lucky if I don't break your f***ing face in 50,000 pieces.
No, don't. Hey, stop. Hey, knock it. Oh.
So remember this.
I'll remember this, all right. Get out of here. This is ridiculous.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam, and that was another interview from Moses. I'm joined by Shango. Shango, what did you think of Moses' interview?
This was pathetic. It was embarrassing. It was one of the worst performances I've seen in my life.
Okay. Thanks, Shango. Thank you. Can somebody get him out of my room, please? Okay, thanks. Moses, back over to you.
And I'm gonna be okay.
He's the stat man. He's the stat man. And here's our very own stat man. Here's Mark.
Yes, it is the start of the third quarter, and to get us up to date on all the stats we need to know about the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks game this upcoming Sunday is our own statsman, Mark. Mark, how you doing this evening?
Good. I'm doing well. This is your Statsman Mark reporting from division rival territory, home of the statement game. Still kills me.
I'm going to laugh every time you say that.
I know. Well, they've been making a very big deal of it out here, and that's fine.
Mark, I hate to interrupt you, but I think we got another incoming tweet from our friend Michael Silver. Yes, incoming tweet from Michael Silver. According to his unnamed sources, Earl Thomas cleats have been found to have roller skates on them for speed, which explains how he's so fast getting up to the line.
Oh, that would do it.
See? And you thought it was just him being quick. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead with your stats, man.
That's okay. So let's see here. For the New York Giants, offensively, they are ranked 16th for the pass, 27th in rushing offense. Defensively, 15th against the pass and 11th against the run. So it's not too bad on the ladder. Let's see here. Eli Manning, the other Manning, 16 touchdown passes, 20 interceptions. Pretty good on yardage, 3,254. But for him, he is only 58.6 on his completions this year, which is pretty bad. Mm-hmm. Let's see, they got a couple of running backs. Andre Brown, 424 yards, a little over 4 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. And the old man, Brandon Jacobs, 4 yards a carry, only 238 yards, but 4 touchdowns. Let's see, and receivers, 2 good ones. Victor Cruz, a little under 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Hakeem Nicks, 789 yards, but no touchdowns this season. And let's see, defensively, a couple guys to keep an eye on is Justin Tuck with 8.5 sacks. On Trell Roll, I guess is his name, 5 interceptions. And let's see, the Giants have lost 2 out of 3. They took a beating in San Diego last week, 37-14. Mm-hmm. They have a 3-3 home record. Another key stat for them is they are minus 13 in the giveaway takeaway for turnovers, which is dead last in the conference.
Wow.
And meanwhile, Seattle is plus 12, and we're tied for second.
And they're just, anemically on offense, aren't they?
Well, I meant their rushing offense especially. It's near the bottom of the league at 27th. They're middle of the road in passing. A lot of turnovers or a lot of picks for Eli. 20 interceptions.
Right.
So, a 3-3 home record. They have 25 sacks as a team. They've given up 33. So, Eli's getting sacked more than his defense is producing. So.
It just, this is not the Giants team we're used to seeing, is it, Will?
No, and it's not even the Giants team that we saw in the Super Bowl run that struggled for most of the season, yet came together when it counted. This team just looks like it's defeated.
Mm-hmm. It does, and Matt, Tom Coughlin's got to be thinking about packing up some stuff coming to the end of the year here, doesn't he? I mean, we've had.
He should have. Look, I mean, I think it's difficult to. I wouldn't put everything on Tom Coughlin. I think Eli Manning's had a really crap year. You know, this is a man who's giving it away more than he's throwing it into the end zone. It's a problem for the Giants, and I feel quite. I always got a bit of a soft spot for the Giants, to be frankly honest, because it's some family of mine are Giants fans. Oh. Not that much because I'm a Seahawks fan, but ultimately it's a bad year for them. It happens, you know. I mean, I heard today that they've taken the countdown to the Super Bowl calendar off their locker rooms because they've, you know, they're not going to get there, obviously. Who's their running backs now? Because one of them was injured, wasn't he?
Peyton Hillis was in there somewhere.
Oh, I guess their leaders were Andre Brown and Jacobs.
I think Jacobs was injured. Or was now been placed on injury reserve. So you know, their rushing is not good. I mean, I think this is going to come down to a rushing game, isn't it? I think if we can't get Marshawn over 100 yards in this game, I think there's something wrong. I want to see him get over 100 yards. I want to see him get 2 touchdowns, and that will be coming to my procrastinations later. But you know, this should be a running game. Apparently, there's 30% chance of snow over there, I think, for this game. And if I look at the Lions Eagles game from last week, which was ridiculous,
yes,
with
that
snow,
was awesome.
It was amazing to watch, wasn't it? I mean, I just love the one where what's his name? Calvin Johnson. He fell in this. He did a tackle or something. Fell in the snow and he cut up. And his entire face mask was full of snow.
Yep.
It looked like one of those Michael Irvin parties. Do you know? It was just white.
Nice.
And so we've got a bit of snow coming in. That's gonna dampen down the throwing game, which is probably to Eli Manning's benefit actually, because he can't seem to connect with anyone. So it will be a running game. So you know, we need to see Marshawn break out on this.
Yeah, I said that when I turned on the Philadelphia Detroit game that my TV screen had more white on it than a work desk of Tony Montana.
Nice.
Little Scarface joke for you there. But,
Charlie Sheen was envious.
Yes, Charlie Sheen was very envious. Of course, he has Tiger's blood, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, this is not the same Giants team at all. Peyton Hillis was on that team for a while. I don't know if I think he's still on that team, but this is a guy who was on the cover of Madden 2012, I want to say. Only a year or two ago, he was on the cover of Madden, and he was unemployed. They picked him up off the streets, literally. That'll shake you up a little bit about the Madden curse. But, just not a year for the Giants. And like you said, maybe it's just a down year, but I think also, as our friend Mike Holmgren said once at a press conference, I'll never forget it, I think you can be somewhere too long. And he was talking actually ironically about Tom Coughlin and the Giants even back then. Really? Because they were saying this was before he made that spectacular run where he was 2-6 and they were getting ready to send him out on the town and rails. And and Mike said, well, Tom's been there a long time, and I think you can be somewhere too long. And ironically, that was Holmgren talking about that all those years ago. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Dennis, to answer the question you put to me, I think any coach that's had a good run of things needs to, if they want to leave on a high, you know, nobody wants to get fired. Nobody wants to be, you know, that man. If you want to leave on a high, then this still would be a good time for him to go. Really, I know he's had a bad season, but he could say no, he's done reasonably well, and off he pops. It'd be great. Shanahan probably can't say that at the moment. But yeah, I think get new blood in.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Moses,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. We do have a tweet from Michael Silver, some breaking news.
Oh, another tweet.
Yes, according to an unnamed source, Michael Silver is reporting that Beats by Dre will now become an official sponsor of the Seattle Seahawks. What could possibly go wrong there?
No, could possibly go wrong because we all love Beats now, don't we? After the commercial, oh my gosh.
Can I say, Dennis, I love all my 12 men. I love all of my 12 women. I love all of the 12 family. But people, it was a shit advert for a shit product by a crap quarterback. Relax. Chill out, people.
See, and like I said, I'm going to get flamed for this, but here, my view on the whole Beats commercial is I liked it because what is it showing? It's showing Seahawk fans yelling at Kaepernick. Yeah, guess what? That's what we do for 4 quarters when he's up there. So he could have those stupid headphones on his head when he's got the helmet on. So yeah, I'm okay with us looking like people yelling because that's what we do.
That's the only time he'll be calm and collected in Seattle. I can tell you that.
Exactly, and
Isn't
it's so bad. Here's the thing: way I read it, it gets on his nerves so bad he has to put headphones on to drown us out as he's walking off the bus. Well, poor baby, you're not going to have those stupid headphones on when you go out on the field. That's what I kept thinking. But me, always positive.
What music he listens to?
What does he listen to?
Yeah,
probably Barry Manilow.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
isn't it? There it is.
Yeah.
Or Celine Dion.
Or the Spice Girls.
Oh, there you go. Or maybe Yo Gabba Gabba. Maybe probably got Yo Gabba Gabba in there somewhere. I bet he listens to his own voice telling him, "Man, you're so cool. Everyone loves you, man. You're awesome." Oh my! Oh, Beats commercial. Oh, what other stats you got for us, Mark?
Let's see. For our beloved Seahawks, offensively 21st in passing, 3rd in rushing. We are 1st in passing defense, 15th against the rush. Our MVP candidate, Russell Wilson, 2,871 yards, 23 TDs, only 7 interceptions, 64.5% on his completions, 103 QB rating for the year. Marshawn Lynch, a little over 1,000 yards, 4.3 a carry, 10 touchdowns. Tate and Baldwin, about 700 yards apiece, each have 4 receiving touchdowns. And let's see, I found that we are 9-2 since 2011 for games in December. So even before we had RW at QB, we do well in December. Of course, we'd won 7 in a row until last week. We also, I think, are among the league leaders. We have scored 152 more points than we've given up, for the points allowed and or points for and points against. So, we're just solid all the way around. Cool. Last week didn't change any of it. And finally, let's see, defensively, the Seahawks as a team, we've sacked opponents 36 times and we've surrendered 32. So we're a little over on the plus side there as well.
Good. Sounds like the stats of a team that is doing quite well.
Yeah, we're solid. Cliff Avrill's our sack leader with 7.5. And I didn't realize this. Michael Bennett is second with 6.5.
Wow. Very nice.
So,
and Averill, what I'd like to know is how many forced fumbles he's had. I know you don't have that, but that guy is a machine of fumbling.
Yeah, he's created 2 at least that I can think of this year.
Yeah, I could think of 3 or 4. Just amazing. And he's done that his whole career, which is just fantastic. Will, any keys to this game before we go to the injuries that you think is important? Give us a key to this game for the Seahawks to win.
I think when you look at this particular game, I think you just get in Eli Manning's head, and I don't think that's particularly difficult this year. Like Matt said, he's had a rough year.
Yeah.
And I think if we can just get in his face, knock him down a few times, if we can force an early turnover, I think that's pretty much just going to do it.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Matt, are you there?
Oh,
I'm
here.
Hi, Matt. It's about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning over there right now.
It's 10 to 4 in the morning here. Doing well.
All right.
Yeah.
That's dedication, folks.
That is.
Isn't it just?
Medic Matt has a
Yes.
quick look of the injuries for this game.
Yeah, but I've whipped my magic sponge and bucket out, and I'm going to have a little roundup of what's going on. Let's start. Well, normally, let's have a start with ourselves and see what's going on. Obviously, KJ Wright off with his foot. We know that. Percy Harvin still with his hip now. This is it's starting to annoy me a little bit. I know that this is a case of, okay, well, how much pain can you be in, dude? Mm-hmm. If you were able to play one game, you had a little bit of a start off doing reasonably well against the Vikings, but now all of a sudden it's flared up again. Pete Carroll doesn't seem to want to talk about it, which annoys me. I'd rather he was just saying, well, he's not going to be. I'd rather he just said he won't be here till we win the Super Bowl. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather he just say that. But this we do it week by week. We do it week by week. But then again, we're winning. We are winning without him. So yes. Either way, Doug Baldwin is on there at the moment with a neck injury, but he's probable. And Max Unger obviously had a tit injury, but he'll be back. Apparently he pulled his right boob or something. I don't know. Something's going on.
Oh my God.
Back over to the Giants. Where did I put the Giants injuries? Here we go. Jason Pierre-Paul. He's out shoulder. Cooper Taylor, he's out with a hamstring, the safety, and Corey Webster, quarterback, is out with an ankle. Terrell Thomas and Cullen Jenkins were limited in practice, but are probable.
Yeah, I say anyone who's not completely out this time of the year, they're gonna have some bumps and bruises. Will this Percy Harvin thing getting you a little bit now? It's
frustrating. I would have hoped that he'd at the very least be getting some practice time in by now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's time to push the panic button just yet. As much as Pete Carroll said that they're not shutting him down for the playoffs, I think in the long run that's what's going to happen. I don't think he's going to get much playing time this year.
Yeah.
Especially if we can clinch home field in the next game or so. But even if he's not playing, I'd like to see him get a couple weeks of practice in before he plays again, just to show that he can handle the wear and tear of doing it every day.
Yeah, that's very true. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, on the subject of Percy, for me, we don't know ultimately how this trade's going to work out and what he's going to be able to do. I think for me personally, I've seen enough to where I think we definitely have to consider wide receiver in next April's draft a little bit more than maybe originally thought. I don't know if we can really bank on him long term. I don't think we can plan on it. I'm not saying there's another Percy Harvin next year's draft, but we got to look into maybe spending a higher pick possibly, and finding another burner, because we just don't know, what's going to happen with him.
Yeah. Working where I work in a different part of the country, about 3,000 miles east of Seattle, my assistant that works with me, we talked about football a lot, and I talked about this today because it's starting to grate on my nerves a little bit. And he said, you know what it is? And I said, what? He goes, you just want to play with your new toy. I said, you're right. I mean, I think we're all overly anxious because we know what this guy can do, and we just want to play with our new toy. We want number 11 out there doing what then they kind of tease us in the Viking game, and that guy shot through that hole like he was literally like on the Flash TV show. Just boom, gone. And my jaw dropped when he did that return. And then, of course, the great catch. And I think we got a little glimpse of what he looks like in a Seahawk uniform. So now we're even getting more tempted to play with our toy. I think the bottom line is we're all just kind of a little anxious because we want him out there because he is such a great player. Let's get him out there. And I think we've got to be patient.
I think, too, even if he's healthy enough, even if we keep him on, he's on the active roster, whatever, and if we just send him out as a decoy, he could help in the playoffs, even if we don't go to him.
Oh, of course.
He could just run a route, and maybe he's only in there for 2 or 3 plays. I mean, he's got to be able to do at least that much, I would think.
I would think so, too.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
Well, you know what I think? I think we're done with the third quarter. Another wonderful stats report from our stats man, Mark. Thank you, sir.
Oh, of course.
And Medic Mac chiming in on the injuries.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. We're going to take a quick station identification and come back with our predictions, prognostications, and, of course, player favorite issue of which is bigger right after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Well, I hear all that. What is an internet?
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam. It is indeed the fourth quarter, time for our predictions, prognostications, and of course an issue of which is bigger between your Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants. Alongside myself, we have the Positivity panelists this evening, and we're going to start our predictions this week with Will. But before we do, Will, I hate to say it, but it looks like Michael Silver's got another tweet.
Uh-oh.
Yes, an unnamed source has told this Michael Silver that RG3 is accordingly in a love tryst with Dan Snyder, and they are flying to Washington to get eloped. So,
Oh.
Yeah.
who knew?
Dirty bastards.
I know.
And the other woman is Mike Shanahan.
That's an image I will not get out of my head for a while.
So that's a hell of a franchise dressing room at the moment, that isn't it?
Ooh, my God. That is a major malfunction.
Yeah. Did you see Michael Irvin go like completely like off the boil about it?
No.
On the Talking Heads, yeah, it's on the NFL. Go and watch it. He's not happy with that decision. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah, Dion was defending it, and Irvin just the man has passion. I'll give him that.
The man is passionate. Yeah.
I know Michael Irvin always ends up with like spit on his chin while the rest of them are just hanging out.
Poor Michael Irvin. Michael, if you're
another-
listening, we'd like to have you on the show. But
Spit on your chin. It's like another Jerry Jones glory hole party.
Oh.
Move on,
spit
Dennis.
on your chin. Yes, we're moving on. Will. Ooh, spit or swallow. Who knows? Will. Will, how are you, buddy?
I'm glad to be giving my prediction and getting off that subject.
Yeah.
So anyway, we do have a game this Sunday, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And
Finally.
yeah, weather could play a factor. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. It may snow on Sunday, and that could slow Seattle down a bit. But if we are a Super Bowl team, we win this game. And I'm saying Seattle 27, New York 10. And I think Marshawn Lynch breaks 100 yards and gets 2 touchdowns.
Oh, you bastard! You've nicked my prediction.
Oh, sorry, I can do another one.
No, you got to. I'll come up with something better.
Sorry.
We know we Americans are always better in everything you do over there anyway.
Yep. Right.
Including your taxes. Mark, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to this week to start a new win streak. To get our walkthrough. Dare I say it? Check out the stadium. A month or 2 months ahead of time here.
Make some reservations out there. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Let's see. No, one game at a time. I do agree with that. For me, I'm thinking, 24-17 Seahawks for a score, and I think Cliff Avril, after looking at his stats, I think he's looking at a sack fumble, and which we recover and gives us a shorter field for a touchdown. So,
oh, nice. Nicely
so
done.
it's not only a sack, it's, sack fumble. So there we go.
Isn't it nice to know that if things go well, this is the last home game, last visiting game that this team will play until February. If things go well and they do what they're supposed to do and they get the number 1 seed, we have 2 home games at the end of the year. Then we go into playoffs, and that would be home games all the way up to the Super Bowl. That's really nice to know, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think of that until you just mentioned. So
Pretty
Working
nice.
out fairly well.
Pretty nice. Matt,
Mm.
well, you have a score for us, my friend?
I do, and I agree with Will. We're a Super Bowl team. You've got to win this game. So it's going to be Seahawks 28. It's going to be Giants 17. And I think Richard Sherman gets 3 picks.
Woo! Wow.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it.
Sherman, 3 picks. All right. Ironically, I was going to say also 17 points for the Giants. And unlike the rest of you, I don't care if we're a Super Bowl team or not. We're the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm going to pick they better win because of Seattle Seahawks. So the Seahawks are going to defeat the Giants. And I'm going to go a little crazy. Since you all said 17, I'm going to go 30-16. That's right. I'll go 30-16 just to be different.
Just to be different.
16.
And my prognostication will be that Russell Wilson will be involved in 3 of those touchdowns. And what I mean is he will either run them in himself or throw a touchdown pass. So he will have 3 touchdowns on his stat sheet. at the end of the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Moses, really quick, can we call up Dana and have her predict the Giants win by 1? Because we had her on the show before the Saints game.
Dana, if we don't win this week, next week Dana has to come on and have a prediction for us.
Totally.
Okay, we'll definitely do that, and I will call her, and we will make sure that that's in the show. That we'll have Dana predicting the Seahawks losing by a point if they lose this week. We'll do that. So Dana, if you're listening, I hope I don't have to call you this week and get that done.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
Now it's time for my favorite part of the show, of course, where we play Which is Bigger. The Which is Bigger this week is positive, because we've always done the Seahawks good or the other team good. Well, this week I want to do both things good for Seattle. So here's what I want to know. Which is going to be the bigger number? New York Giant turnovers or New York Giant sacks? In other words, will the Seahawks get more sacks than turnovers or more turnovers than sacks? And we'll start again with Will. Will, it's an honor having you on the show again, my friend.
Why, thank you.
Yes.
I think in this case we're going to have more sacks than turnovers. I think we'll have more than enough of each to satisfy the 12th men and women who will be watching. But I think we'll have 3 sacks and 2 turnovers.
All right, 3-2. Well done. Mark, keep the faith down there in California, man.
Yes, always. Boy, this is a pretty interesting one because Eli has thrown so many interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they haven't given up. They've given up. I don't know. They're right around average for sack. I'm going to say I think this is a bad. I think this is a bad game for Eli against our secondary. So you know what? I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say that we're going to have 3 sacks, but I could see him having a 4-pick day because he's going to throw a lot of passes. I don't think they're going to be able to run that well with those running backs that they have. So I'm thinking more interceptions for us than sacks, and Eli with 4 picks.
Very nice. Very nice. Matt, I'm sorry I called you ugly earlier.
I'm offended.
Yeah. But I am fat, so don't say anything about what you called me.
I wasn't going to take that back. So
no,
don't. It's turnovers for me because I've already said Sherman's going to get 3. I think we're going to sack him once and we'll get 4 picks out of him. Actually, no, we'll get 3 picks and 1 will be just a fumble pickup. So
and then 1 sack?
Yeah, 1 sack.
Okay. I am going to think we're getting a lot of pressure on Eli Manning, so I am going to go with the sacks, like with Will. I think my numbers will be turnovers. I think we'll have 2 turnovers. I think we'll have 4 sacks.
Well, and you know what they say, Moses? It's better to have bad sacks than no sacks at all.
That's the truth. There's no such thing as a bad sack, right? Bad sacks are sacks nonetheless, right? And speaking of nonetheless, we have had a wonderful evening. Another great award-winning 12th Man Fan Jam. Was this fun or what?
What award did we win?
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, it was unbelievable. And prizes chosen especially for you will be delivered. Thank you. It was fun and educational. We learned a lot. We learned something about Michael Irvin's spit on his chin we won't go to. But we do want to thank everyone for making us a part of your Seahawk tradition this week. We want to thank our panelists, Statsman Mark. We want to thank Shadowhawk Will. We want to thank my partner in crime from across the pond, Matt, as well as you out there who are sitting and listening. So we hope you smiled a lot. We hope you laughed a little on behalf of my partner in crime and the Positivity panelists. This is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity saying enjoy the game Sunday and go Hawks.